is the way in which like the all these issues get filtered into like a cultural war lens, and like this one becomes like, are men trash or not? And when really what we're talking about here is like that the economy was destroyed in 2008, and like that to me would be like the knock-on effect about are men or like a decline in marriage or reproduction, is that just like any sort of path to economic stability or adulthood is connected to material issues about like poverty and prosperity, like wealth and who's allowed to have it.
Well, now the economy is fucked again, so I think we're going to see those exact same hallmarks of basically our young men reaching these milestones of sexual maturity and adulthood. I think we're also going to see those increasingly just kind of fall by the wayside because no one has economic.
There's less marriageable men because there's less like jobs.
Well, yeah,
I
mean,
people have fewer prospects, men and women.
They're not even like getting started.
Yes,
because it's like you won't go to college or you like do remote learning. You'll be sort of like half in, half out, still living at your parents' house. You maybe like don't get a group of friends as easily as you did maybe like 20 years ago or so. Just like the situations that you get in where you do have sex as a young man or young woman just aren't as common now, even before COVID. I mean, I do think this is like a very interesting topic because, I mean, as always, there was a mass shooting today and there was, of course, one, last week. And every time this happens, there's this like a sort of thing that I basically do understand where it's like people take like the last media thing they remember or that they have a resentment over and they're like, oh, see, well, what about that thing that vaguely connects to the mass murder that just happened? Which like I think is, at best stupid and at worst like can just be like totally cynical and monstrous. Just basically like blaming some other idiot in media for just mass murder. But I feel like the reasons we have these, I mean, they're not simple, but I feel like they're pretty identifiable. And one is that, we live in an imperial nation that has repeatedly shown complete disregard for human life, as long as they're something other than you, in whatever way it's constructed, that you can kill literally millions of them. And it's basically fine if your intention was to make the world better, that it's, that even it could just be a mistake, like Iraq, it's just a mistake. We're just running into a bad time in Afghanistan. Even if you're against the war, it will be framed that way. And it makes human life very forgivable to lose. Just like, the tens of thousands that die of completely preventable ways because of our healthcare system, because of how we see work, everything. And then you have increasing male isolation and alienation. Like the huge chunks of like kids just like don't like forget having sex. They just like flat out don't have friends.
Yeah.
And combine that with the third piece, which is like very uniquely American, a very like toxic individualism. So if you're like, there's nowhere for you to go, you're already sort of pre-programmed to like not see some sort of like valor and heroism in killing scores of people. And if you're wrong, you have the best of intentions. And then combine that with like, the toxic individualism where it's like, well, you're going to be a fucking loser in this life, but you will be your own media brand after you kill all these people and die. And you will become immortal. It's like, no, fucking course these happen. The problem is like, there's no simple way to fix it. I mean, I honestly do think you'd see a lot less if there were a better way for like young men to have like friendships or like do anything or like even have sex. That of course like isn't a cure all, but I think you'd see like less of it. But as for the rest of it, I mean, it's probably the king of easier said than done.
I also really do think we're going to like be paying for the long-term social effects of COVID for a really long time in young people.
Yeah.
Not only is it like economically stunted an entire generation, but I think it's socially stunted them. So I think we're going to see kind of like a failure to launch generation because of this lost year. Like this is not anywhere near as intense as losing your job and becoming homeless. But I just think about like my little brother is a freshman in college now, and he basically missed out on his senior year of high school, which again it's not like life or death, but it's like one of those kind of milestone
these
things.
Benchmarks that everyone sort of
missed out on like partying that summer, and like they had a weird digital graduation, and now he went to the big state school freshman year, but didn't live in the dorms because of COVID, and you can't really party. There aren't any big lecture halls. It's just like his entire first year and part of his last year of high school has now been characterized by this kind of weird stuntedness, and now we're all about to be like foist back into some sense of normalcy. And I just think like at these tender moments where young men in particular are kind of like their brains are wiring for the rest of their lives in terms of can you make like the right social connections to other people and to like build communities. I think like there's going to be a chip missing that it's going to take us a long time to realize or to even like help people find a path back to addressing it.
Yeah, and there's